Hello guys and welcome back to The Facts with JJJ. I'm Jacob.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Jake.
And today we're going to be talking about the one and only Sony Pictures and more importantly, which Marvel characters they have the rights to. This is extremely significant to Marvel fans right now after the recent scare that was sprung upon MCU lovers when Sony decided to remove SpiderMan from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This was a major shock to fans and has got a lot of us thinking, who else is at risk of suffering the same fate as the wall-crawling hero? If you're a Spider-Man fan, you'll be extremely unhappy to find out which characters Sony could pull away and withhold from the MCU. Sony was originally approached by Marvel when they faced serious bankruptcy. They had no option other than to sell their characters off to avoid fully shutting down. This is why people such as the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and almost all the Hulk characters were sold off, and the reason why some haven't been able to appear in the MCU yet. In fact, Marvel offered to sell all of their characters' film rights to Sony for a measly $25 million, which they declined. To put that into perspective, Endgame made $2 billion in the first 12 days. However, the characters they did manage to snatch up are now scattered all over the film industry, so we've split them up into three main groups to make this list easier to understand. Characters Sony own alone, characters Sony and Marvel share, and the characters they share with Netflix. So without further ado, let's get into the list.
So let's get the obvious ones out of the way first, which are the ones that Sony and Marvel share who are already in the MCU. Spider-Man is the main character Sony own, and is arguably the biggest superhero of any company or franchise right now. His second film made $1 billion at the box office, and he is now set for a third film in the MCU, which will carry on from the major cliffhanger in Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm obviously referring to the cliffhanger where J. Jonah Jameson reveals Spider's secret identity to the world. Aunt May has appeared in both Spider-Man films so far, alongside Mary Jane, who have spiced up the storylines and showed the audience what good Peter Parker has in his life. But as always, not all is good for Spidey. In the space of only 2 movies, we have seen Peter face many villains, the main ones being Mysterio and the Vulture. These villains have been the main antagonists in the franchise so far, but have brought along a few henchmen, including the Tinkerer, the Chameleon, Scorpion, and the Shocker. This is the last of the characters that Sony and Marvel share, although this isn't the last of the Sony characters who exist in the MCU.
Netflix has several shows which tied into the MCU and owned the rights to many characters such as Frank Castle, Jessica Jones, and Danny Rand. But since the cancellation of these shows, the rights have been slowly shifted back over to Marvel, which means they can finally appear in MCU movies. However, Sony and Netflix still share the rights to the Spidey villain Wilson Fisk. Netflix may be losing him soon, but he is still very much owned by Sony, which means they could stop him from appearing in any MCU films, but we doubt this very much, due to the rumoured appearance of Matt Murdock in Spider-Man 3. This category is only one character big, however it needed to be mentioned.
The last category is by far the biggest and is the characters that Sony own the rights to completely, all of which haven't appeared in the MCU yet. Sony has owned these characters for a while, some lucky enough to even appear in the past 2 versions of the franchise, a few being presented extremely well, but others extremely poorly. From the Sam Raimi trilogy, we got to see Green Goblin, Harry Osborn, Sandman, Dr. Octopus, and lastly, Venom. But let's be honest, the Venom in Spider-Man 3 is dreadful, and really shouldn't be classed as Venom. The new Venom portrayed by Tom Hardy is the fans' ideal portrayal of Venom, and is a lot better. Venom has also introduced us to Carnage, who will definitely be in the sequel. The Amazing Spider-Man franchise allowed us to see a Dr. Connors that actually transformed into the Lizard, and another version of Green Goblin. Electro showed up in the second one, and in a desperate attempt to set up a Sinister Six, Rhino was shown ready to fight Peter Parker at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. Sony also reserved the rights to Hobgoblin, who is a very underutilised character, but also Kraven, who the fans desperately want to see very soon. Black Cat and Silver Sable are 2 owned by the company, but have appeared in the Spider-Man game, which makes up for their absences in the movies.
So that's a whopping total of 22 Spider-Man characters that are owned by the Mad Titan Sony. Some of you may think that this is a bad thing, as they have proved themselves untrustworthy in the past, and are completely evil in many fans' eyes. Only 11 of these characters are in the MCU right now, but we're sure they'll make an appearance very soon. That's if Sony don't take them all back again, like they did to poor little Peter. But due to the Spidey franchise being reverted back to Marvel, we have high hopes that the companies will stay civil enough to let our beloved characters appear in the MCU, and eventually let Disney buy them all back and return to their rightful place.
So thank you guys for watching this video, and we hope you did enjoy. If you did, you can always like the video and subscribe to our channel for more similar content. Turning on notifications will allow you to get notified when we upload our next video, and please make sure to enter the giveaway because you can be in for a chance to win these pops. So thank you guys for watching this video, and we hope to see you again on The Facts with JJJ.